Taliyah. It's okay. We've all been bamboozled. We've all been tricked. We've all been pulled. They pulled a fast one on us. It is not Zillion. It is in fact Taliyah. Okay. Okay. Here we go. Let's take a look. Sorry if this blasts everybody's ears, but here we go.
Point the way, and I'll make the way. Come on, there's so much.
Taliyah. 5 mana 2/4. This is not Zillion. 5 mana 2/4 play. Summon an exact copy of an allied Summon an exact copy of an allied landmark. And then level up, you summon 5 landmarks. Okay, Shreema really likes landmarks.
Much to see. They're so sweet when they're sleeping. Hope you get pebbles in your shoe.
Oh boy. New keyword predict. Yeah, we knew that. 3 mana 2/4 Side Scout, play predict. If you pick a landmark, grant me elusive. Wow, okay.
Taliyah, do you miss your family? I miss some of them. The others are right here.
We'll look at all these later. We don't need to pause the video for that.
Watch out for quicksand. Looks like you're stuck. Ha! You fell for it.
Ooh.
Together, we are stronger than stone, faster than the wind.
Whoa! I want a big sandworm. Can we play the big sandworm? Is this Dune? Okay. Taliyah levels up. 5 mana 3/5 makes sense. Play summon exact copy of an allied landmark. Sure. Attack. Deal 2 to my blocker. If it's dead. Wait, that's not how the attack keyword works. Oh, actually, it kind of is. Okay, attack. I assume this is a skill. Deal 2 to my blocker. If it's dead or gone, deal 2 to the enemy nexus instead. If you have a landmark, do this 2 more. Wow, deal this 2 more times. Which I assume this happens if she just isn't blocked as well. If you attack with Taliyah and she just isn't blocked at all, she's just gonna deal 6 plus 3. Jesus, to the enemy nexus. My goodness. Yeah.
Like threading a needle.
Ancient Hourglass. Obliterate an ally and summon a stasis statue in its place. We don't know what that is. This is a fast speed spell. Obliterate an ally and summon a stasis statue in its place. Okay, what is that?
All rocks erode eventually.
Sometimes your closest allies are landmarks. What? What is this?
Tag, you're it.
Oh, of course. Oh, of course. Why not?
Stand back.
That's a lot of rocks.
Ugh, what a great day.
Woo! Excellent. My God. All right, new cards. New cards have arrived. Let us take a look. See. So we've seen Taliyah, 5 mana, 2/4. Level up, you've summoned 5+ landmarks. And when you play her, she summons an exact copy. So she progresses her own level up by 1 when you play her, assuming you already have a landmark when you play her. Now, we'll have to take a look at exactly how many landmarks are here and how easy, how cheap they are and how easy it is to get a bunch of landmarks very quickly before we can judge how easy it is to level her up, because a 5 mana 2/4 is rough. Paying 5 mana to only get 2/4, I guess you're also getting a landmark. You're paying 5 mana to get 2/4 of stats plus an additional landmark with the exact copy. Now, it's important to mention exact copy therefore means if a landmark is counting down, the exact copy will have the same countdown progression as the original, right? So if you count something down all the way to 1 and then you play Taliyah to copy that landmark, the next one will also be at 1. And we saw that in the trailer, and that makes this a lot better. That makes Taliyah much better than she otherwise would be. So level up is you've summoned 5+ landmarks. She helps herself get there. Once she levels up, she's a 5 mana 3/5 that says summon an exact, play her, summon an exact copy of the landmark, same as before. And then she has an attack skill, which is Taliyah's stone, or which is, not here. Attack, deal 2 to my blocker. If it's dead or gone, deal 2 to the enemy nexus instead. If you have a landmark, do this 2 more times. So when she's leveled up, you attack with her. And if she doesn't get blocked, right? Assuming you don't have a landmark. If you attack with her and you don't have a landmark, she's going to deal 2 to the enemy nexus and then hit the enemy nexus for a total of 5. Kind of the way an Anivia would, right? The Anivia, some of it's going to hit and then the Anivia hits unless you block it. However, all of it can potentially be blocked, right? If you block Taliyah with say a 2/2 or a 2/1, if you block Taliyah with a 1/1, if you chump block her, and you don't have a land, and Taliyah doesn't have a landmark, the skill will hit the a spiderling. Let's pretend it's a spiderling. The skill will hit the spiderling, and then Taliyah doesn't have overwhelm, so she won't do any damage. So leveled up Taliyah can still be fully blocked by a 1/1 if she has no landmarks. If there is a landmark on the field and Taliyah attacks, and you block with a spiderling, the spiderling takes the first hit and then the nexus still takes 4. So 5 mana. So essentially what we're looking at here is 5 mana for a 3/5 and an extra landmark that deals 4 damage every single time she attacks, at least to the enemy nexus, right? Or else she gets really good value by killing a huge unit. Like if you block her with a 6/6, obviously the 6/6 just dies, right? To the 3 stones. What if she doesn't have a blocker? If she doesn't have a blocker, and she's leveled up and she has an enemy and she has a landmark, your nexus takes 9 damage. Your nexus takes 9 damage is what happens if you don't block her. That's probably not ideal. That's probably not what you want to do. Okay, so that's pretty cool. That's an interesting idea. That's a cool champion. Okay. Then she has a champion spell, which is Taliyah's Stone Weaving. 1 mana burst speed. Look at 3 random landmarks. What? Look at 3 random landmarks you can afford. Pick 1 to create in hand. Create a Taliyah in your deck. 3 random landmarks you can afford. This does not specify Shuriman landmarks, by the way. This does not specify from your regions. These are just any 3 landmarks you can afford. If you cast this at 10 mana, you might get Howling Abyss. Huh. Look at 3 random landmarks you can afford. If you cast this at 4 mana, if you cast this at 4 mana, you have that chance of looking at Monastery of Harana, and that's pretty funny. Her text doesn't really explain if she doesn't have a blocker at all. Oh, I see your question. I understand your question. Yeah, so the skill says attack deal 2 to my blocker, which is a very strange way to word this, and haha, Riot doesn't explain their cards very well. What I assume this means is when you attack with Taliyah, there will be a skill that comes on the board that says I deal 2 to Taliyah's blocker. Regardless of whether there is or is not a blocker, it says I deal 2 to the blocker. And then if your opponent doesn't block, it'll say, oh, there's no blocker, hits the nexus. That's what I assume will happen. I don't understand why Howling Abyss is bad though. It's not. Howling Abyss is not bad. Did I say it was? No, that's great. That's part of why Taliyah's Stone Weaving is cool, is on 10 mana. If you play this at 10 mana, you could just find Howling Abyss and you're like, okay, sure. Play Howling Abyss. That'd be great. That's not bad at all. It's actually very scary. That makes this card really good. The fact that you can play this at 10 mana and potentially find a Howling Abyss is actually incredibly useful. Now, on the other hand, this says look at 3 random landmarks you can afford. So if you can afford Howling Abyss, you can afford every landmark. So the odds of even then, even if you do cast this with more than 7 mana left over, yeah, your odds of finding Howling Abyss are low, because at that moment you can afford everything. So you'll still probably get a cheaper landmark. But I mean, It's possible. So Stoneweaving can actually see landmarks outside your regions? Yeah. Yes, it can. Yes, it can. I assume, anyway. It doesn't say... Usually a card will specify from your regions if it doesn't. So I assume this is just... You get to pick one of any 3 landmarks in the game that you can afford. Very neat. All right, then we got Shaped Stone. Give an ally +1/+1 this round. Burst speed. Give an ally +1/+1 this round. If you've summoned a landmark this game, instead give it +3/+1 this round. Hello? Man. Give it +3/+1 for 1 mana? Landmarks galore, landmarks galore. Yeah, Shurima apparently really likes landmarks. My goodness. If you summon a landmark this game, give it +3/+1 instead. Yeah, that seems really good. This is just a better Elixir of Wrath. Hello? This is like Pale Cascade, but better if you have a landmark, except you don't draw the card. This is a Pale Cascade that does +1 for less mana, but doesn't draw you a card. Or it's an Elixir of Wrath that also gives health. Those are, well, I guess that's a better comparison, right? It's better to compare this to Elixir of Wrath. This is an Elixir of Wrath that also gives health. That suddenly doesn't seem as good, huh? Like, nobody runs Elixir of Wrath unless you're running like hyper aggro, right? Yeah, okay, maybe this isn't that good then. Like that scared me, dude. That was like, wow, that's incredible. But like, this is just Elixir of Wrath, but only if you have a landmark, or only if you have summoned a landmark this game. So, I don't know about that one. It looks really scary, but I don't feel like most decks that want to run landmarks will want to run this. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and we haven't seen everything else yet. Let's keep looking. Let's keep looking. Psy Scout. Aren't stones supposed to protect you? Not if you throw them at people. Taliyah has a quote that she says a lot in League. I don't know who of you have played League of Legends, but Taliyah has a quote that she says a lot in League whenever she uses her Q. And she says, if at first you don't succeed, throw another rock. So, yeah. She likes throwing rocks at people. Okay. Psy Scout, 3 mana, 2/4. Play predict if you pick a landmark. Not just if you see a landmark in the prediction, but you actually have to pick the landmark. If you pick a landmark, grant me elusive. So that's cool. This is like landmark. Excuse me. This is like landmark prediction synergy. And you can give her elusive. Now, elusives that have low attack and high health means this. She's saying essentially this card is saying, hi, hello. I am here to protect you from other elusives. I am here to block other elusives efficiently. And like, you know, in the meta right now, Fizz Twisted Fate would hate this. Any Fizz deck will hate this card. Will hate seeing this card. They'll be like, ah, crap. This is gonna kill all my Burblefish, you know? Like that's what this job. This is a Burblefish killer. For 3 mana. And it's like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. If you pick a landmark, this can block every Burblefish from now on. You know, or at least 2 of them. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like that. That seems like a pretty decent card. If you can reliably predict a landmark, and who knows how many freaking landmarks you have to stick in your deck in order to reliably get them, right? All right, speaking of landmarks, here is a 2 mana Shuriman landmark, Hibernating Rock Bear. 2 mana landmark, countdown 3, summon a Grumpy Rock Bear, which is this. It's just a 5/4. So this is 2 mana for a 5/4 in 3 turns. Okay. Interesting. We see a lot of cards like this. We've seen a couple cards like this from Shurima, a couple landmarks that are like, basically every countdown effect is like this, right? You play the landmark, and then in a couple turns you get its effect, and the trade-off is that it's much cheaper. So this is 2 mana for a 5/4, but you have to wait 3 turns in order to get it. That's still probably pretty good. How does this line up? Countdown 3, which means on turn 3 it'll be 2, on turn 4 it'll be 1, and on turn 5 it'll crack. That's a little awkward. What you kind of want to do, especially when you're running Taliyah, if you were running Taliyah, you would want this to be, you know, maybe this would summon like a 6/6, and this would cost 3 mana. So you could play it on turn 3, and then on turn 5 you play Taliyah, and then on turn 6 it cracks. So right now you kind of want to play this on turn 3, so that Taliyah will still, you know, on turn 5 it won't be done yet. It'll still be at 1, and then Taliyah summons a copy of it, and then on turn 6 it cracks open and you get 2 5/4s, right? That's kind of how Taliyah wants to play. But you can play this on turn 2, and then you'll just get the Grumpy Rock Bear, and then you'll get Taliyah, and if you have another landmark, Taliyah can just copy that one. So still probably a really good card. You'll probably always want to run this in Taliyah decks. This looks very good. 2 mana for a 5/4. How can you say no to that? That looks pretty good. I'm sure there'll be lots of times when you want to play this, when it's like best to play this on turn 2, but every once in a while you'll be like, no, maybe I want to wait and play this on turn 3 because I have a Taliyah in my hand, that sort of thing. That's just something I'm thinking about. Okay. Probably getting way too in depth right now. But yeah, Hibernating Rock Bear looks cool. Looks great. 2 mana 5/4 for later. Good landmark, good synergy. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Desert Naturalist, 4 mana 2/4 with a play skill. Okay, 4 mana 2/4 with a skill. Destroy a landmark. If that landmark is allied, summon a Grumpy Rock Bear. Oh. So you just turn any landmark of your own. Oh my goodness, is this? Wow. This is the best landmark removal we've seen yet. This is great. Like, maybe Scorched Earth is pretty good, but like, whoa. Destroy a landmark. If it's allied, summon a Grumpy Rock Bear. So you can just turn any of your own landmarks into this guy. Or you can destroy your opponent's landmark. Man. Taliyah decks are going to be the only ones around who get to play landmarks. This card seems very good. Okay, this card seems quite good. It is a skill. Now, this is a skill. Okay. To be fair, this actually does incentivize opponents to run more fast speed landmark removal. This incentivizes Scorched Earth, right? Because the skill, you know, destroys a landmark to summon a Grumpy Rock Bear. I assume it's to summon. It doesn't actually say the word to. It doesn't say if it is allied. It says if it's allied, summon a Grumpy Rock Bear. I assume this translates to destroy a friendly landmark to summon a Grumpy Rock Bear. Therefore, it can be interrupted. So if you play this on your own landmark, you know, there's a little skill out there, and if your opponent plays Scorched Earth and kills the landmark before the skill finishes, you don't get the Rock Bear. I assume that's how that goes. So that's neat. That's interesting. That's actually a good reason for opponents to run like Scorched Earth and stuff. That being said, apart from Scorched Earth, I feel like most landmark removal right now is slow in other regions, right? Every other region has slow landmark removal. Like Aftershock is slow. You can't respond to this with Aftershock. You can't respond to this with Crumble. What can I guess you could respond to this with Homecoming. I guess Homecoming would do it, right? Would work. Interesting. Okay. And then we get another landmark. We get a 4 mana landmark this time, Salt Spire. Countdown 2, summon a Grumpy Rock Bear. Okay, there's going to be lots of these. Okay, there's lots of things that make these Grumpy Rock Bears. That's very interesting. Countdown 2, summon a Grumpy Rock Bear. Then, if you've summoned 4+ landmarks this game, grant the strongest ally +2/+2. If you summon 4+ landmarks this game, grant the strongest ally +2/+2. So this is a 4 mana play in 2 turns. You get this. Then you get something +2/+2. That one doesn't seem as good. Like this is 2 mana for a Grumpy Rock Bear, right? And that's really good. Obviously you have to wait 3 turns, which is not ideal, but you just get 2 mana for a 5/4. This is 4 mana for a 5/4. And then if you meet a condition, you also grant something +2/+2. I don't see this one. This one doesn't seem as good. If you played 2 before the first Salt Spire. Well, yeah, but I mean, like, it just doesn't seem like enough for 4 mana and having to wait 2 turns. If you're paying 4 mana and you're waiting 2 turns just to get a 5/4 and then give something +2/+2, I don't feel like that's actually worth 4 mana. This one seems a little weaker. Like, Hibernating Rock Bear is going to be a great card. I'm not so sure about Salt Spire. Let's move on. Rock Hopper. Okay, I love the art on this card. This guy looks excellent. 2 mana, 3/1. When I'm summoned, summon a Roiling Sands, which is this. Okay, this is a landmark that cannot be put into your deck. When I'm summoned, summon a Roiling Sands. So this is 2 mana for a 3/1 and a landmark that says when an enemy is summoned, destroy me to grant it vulnerable. Wow. Okay. Wow. This guy is going to make Taliyah's level up much easier. Okay, so this is 2 mana for a 3/1 that just summons a Roiling Sands. Interesting. Okay, which progresses Taliyah's level up by 1. That's really good. When an enemy is summoned, destroy me to grant it vulnerable. And then we also have this 3 mana for a burst speed spell. Summon 2 Roiling Sands and draw 1. Again, it is not going to be that hard to level up Taliyah. Okay, I have decided leveling up Taliyah is not going to be that hard. Wow. Okay. Summon 2 Roiling Sands, draw 1. And then when an enemy is summoned, destroy me to grant it vulnerable. So this is a really interesting concept. A landmark that sits out there and does nothing, but destroys itself very quickly and frees up space on the board again. Destroy me to grant it vulnerable. Which means your opponent can sort of, they know that this is there, right? Obviously your opponent can see this Roiling Sands and they know it's there, and they can sort of not play their valuable units because they don't want to give their valuable units vulnerable, right? If you're going up against like a Shadow Isles deck, they'll probably be able to be like, okay, I'm gonna play Vile Feast, summon a Spiderling, give that vulnerable, and then I'm gonna play like a little unit, give that vulnerable, and now I'm gonna play my Callista, right? And so Callista doesn't get vulnerable. But a lot of decks won't be able to do that. A lot of decks that want to like play on curve, if you play this guy on like turn 3, you know, if like say it's your opponent's turn, they have the attack token, they play a unit, you play this, right? And they're like, ah, crap. They attack or whatever. The turn ends and it's their turn and they want to play like a Renekton on turn 4. They want to play that Renekton on turn 4. You know, if they have like a Twisted Fate, they need to play that thing. Well, maybe not Twisted Fate, but like Shyvana, they need to play Shyvana on turn 4. This is going to be like, nah, that thing has vulnerable now. That's good. That's really good. This is really good. I like this guy. I like Rock Hopper. I like Unraveled Earth. Unraveled Earth is burst speed. You can burst speed summon 2 landmarks. If you know your opponent's about to summon a bunch of units, like a skill or spell that summons units, you could just be like Unraveled Earth in response. Give them vulnerable. Draw 1. Wow, this is great. These look excellent. These look fantastic. Okay. Ancient Hourglass. 2 mana, fast speed. Obliterate an ally. We saw this in the trailer, right? Obliterate an ally and summon a stasis statue in its place, which is this. Stasis statue. Countdown 1. Summon an exact copy of the obliterated unit I replace. Ron B impressed. We really need that Ron B pog. Yeah. I'm working on it. Countdown 1. Summon an exact copy of the obliterated unit I replace. Okay. This right here is the biggest incentive I have yet seen for landmark removal. Right? This right here is very, I don't know if this card will be good. Okay, what does this card do? Let's back up a minute. What is the point of this card? This card essentially is a 2 mana get out of jail free card for your champion or your strongest unit, right? You use this on whatever is most important on your board after your opponent uses like vengeance or something, or ruination, right? To save your unit. Yeah, from dying. If your opponent casts the ruination, you play this. For 2 mana, for the low price of 2 mana, you save your strongest unit until next turn, right? Because it's countdown 1. It'll be back next turn. Thermo beams, yeah, thermo beam, whatever it is. Get excited, mystic shot, all of it. Oh, okay. The unit summon is actually an exact copy. I was also going to say this will fully heal your unit, but that's actually not true. This summons an exact copy of the obliterated unit, which means on the one hand, you know, if you're, for instance, Taliyah, if your Taliyah is damaged, if you have like a 3/2 Taliyah and you use Ancient Hourglass and then it comes back, the Taliyah will still be damaged. But if you use this on something else, if you use this on not a Taliyah, if you use this on like a buffed up, for instance, I don't know, if you're happening to run Targon and you have like a Veiled Temple with what's his face, Aphelios, you know, and your Aphelios happens to be like a 10/10 because you've been doing Veiled Temple things, and you use Ancient Hourglass on that Aphelios, he will still come back as a 10/10, you know? So that's pretty cool. If you recall a landmark, does the countdown reset? I assume it does. Of course it does, yeah. For sure. So that's pretty cool, right? Ancient Hourglass is actually a really cool, really flexible card. You know, just save your champion. Just save your champion until next turn. Easy. Fantastic. And then you can open attack with it. Ooh, this card is cool. What I was gonna say is this right here, if it turns out to be as good as I think it is, this will be the biggest incentive for people to put landmark removal in their decks, right? Because I know this card only costs 2 mana, and technically the Stasis statue only costs 2 mana, but if I obliterate my own, you know, 10/10 Aphelios, if I obliterate my own, you know, Renekton because he's about to die, and he just gets to come back for free next turn, that is an extremely valuable removal, right? If I replace my own, I don't know, Hecarim, you know, imagine playing Scorched Earth and killing a Hecarim. That's pretty good. So if Stasis statue is recalled, it will keep the unit in its memory. No, if you recall Stasis statue, I assume it forgets. I assume it forgets everything. That's how the stuff tends to work with recall. Everything that they have that makes them different from how they were when they were in your hand is undone when something is recalled. So if you recall a Stasis statue, it says summon an exact copy of the obliterated unit I replaced. If it goes back to your hand, that is no longer the same Stasis statue that obliterated it. It is something different. It is a different Stasis statue. What happens if you play it then? Nothing happens after turn 1? Yeah, if someone plays Homecoming and recalls your Stasis statue, and then you play it again, the next turn it will kill itself and you get nothing. That's what I assume happens. That is what I assume happens with Stasis statue. If you recall this, it's just broken. You just have to assume it's dead and gone. Yeah. That's I mean, we should test it. We're going to need to test that in game, but that's how I assume it goes. Hey there, Rob, checking out new cards? Indeed I am. We need to bust some myths when these cards come out. Oh, don't worry. We will waste no time busting these myths. We will waste no time. But that's what I would assume. Until we learn differently, until we test it and discover differently, I would assume that you do not get it. You play Stasis statue and you do not get the obliterated unit if your Stasis statue got recalled. Okay. We got 2 more. Here finally is Taliyah's skill. Oh, there's 2 different skills here. Teen Spirit. Okay. Desert Naturalist's skill is called Teen Spirit. Okay. So we got Threaded Volley, deal 2 to Taliyah's blocker. If it's dead or gone, deal 2 to the enemy nexus instead. And then Teen Spirit, destroy a landmark. If it's allied, summon a Grumpy Rock Bear. Cool. We knew about those already. Desert Naturalist is called Teen Spirit. I like that. Smells like Teen Spirit. Lol. La la la. Wow. Okay, so how many landmarks do we need? How many landmarks does Taliyah need? Apparently a bunch. So leveling up Taliyah in the right deck is not going to be hard. Is not going to be hard at all. I like this seems extraordinarily difficult until you see this card that summons 2, right? Until you see this guy, which is just a 2-mana 3/1 that progresses Taliyah's level by 1, right? That makes this a lot easier. It also makes Salt Spire a little bit better because this is, you can sort of assume that in the right deck, Salt Spire will always be getting the +2/+2, and that helps, right? Summon a Grumpy Rock Bear, then if you summon 4+ landmarks this game, grant the strongest ally +2/+2. I mean, that still seems kind of lame compared to just normal Rock Bear. This is probably the landmark that's not going to make the cut. You can't run every single landmark in a Taliyah deck. I imagine you won't be able to actually run all of them. You'll have to make some cuts, and I suspect that this is the one that's not going to make the cut. But Rockhopper seems pretty decent. Unraveled Earth seems okay. I don't know if you want to run like 3 copies of both of them in a Taliyah deck, but you might. Like 3 mana just to give 2 enemy units vulnerable and then draw 1. Is that good? Maybe. The point is it progresses Taliyah's level up, right? And that helps it out. But yeah, so Taliyah's gonna level pretty easily, and I think she's gonna be fun. I'm gonna play around a lot with Taliyah. Oh, something else we need to talk about is one of the cards from yesterday. One of the cards from yesterday now makes a lot more sense, right? And that would be this one, Promising Future. So here's the thing about Promising Future, right? Now that we know that Taliyah exists. Promising Future, here, let's just say see all revealed cards. There we are, okay. Oh shoot, maybe that was a mistake. It's gonna take forever to load all these things. Oh no, perfect. They're right next to each other. Ideal, look at that. The thing about Promising Future, it grants a landmark, my countdown effect activates twice, right? Which is cool, but there's not really, I mean, if you use that on a hibernating rock bear, great. 4 mana for a 5/4, cool. I paid 4 mana, and now this hibernating rock bear is actually gonna get me 2 grumpy rock bears. All right, cool. That's kind of worth 4 mana. That's 4 mana for an additional 5/4. That's okay. That's not bad. However, if you play Promising Future on a hibernating rock bear, and then you play Taliyah on that same hibernating rock bear, she doubles the double, right? Because Taliyah summons an exact copy, which means Promising Future, you're gonna have a hibernating rock bear that is going to double itself, and then you play Taliyah to double that thing that's doubling itself. So if you play, hibernating rock bear on turn 3, Promising Future on turn 4, Taliyah on turn 5, on turn 6 you get 4 5/4s. And that's why this card costs 4 mana. Promising Future into Stasis, into what's it called? Ancient Hourglass? Yeah. Promising Future on this, also yes. Also very much yes. That's the other one. That's the other one right there. Yeah, insta-fill your board. Yeah, so Promising Future into, hibernating rock bear into Promising Future into Taliyah equals 4 of these guys on turn 6. Or just freaking Stasis Statue onto whatever you want into Promising Future makes that pretty good as well. Again, this, by the way, is another really good reason to run landmark removal. Like I was saying like people still probably aren't going to run landmark removal because you don't want to spend 4 like Aftershock. You don't want to Aftershock something that only costs your opponent 2 mana. And Aftershock's not a good example because you still can't run that. But Homecoming and Scorched Earth just got much better. Homecoming and Scorched Earth just became much, much better cards because Promising Future onto a landmark, if you can then Scorched Earth that landmark in response, or actually you don't even need to do it in response. You don't even need to do it in response. Aftershock is totally fine. This is a slow speed spell. The landmark's still gonna be there, right? If you stasis statue and then you promising future onto that, your opponent can just wait, right? Your opponent can just wait for it to finish and then aftershock it. No, I was wrong. Aftershock is fine. Yeah, landmark removal is gonna be better. Landmark removal is gonna be a little bit more incentivized, I think. That's really cool. That is really cool. Okay. All right. I think we talked about everything we needed to talk about. I think we've said everything. Is there anything you guys need to tell me about? Anything I missed?